Overthinking does absolutely nothing. I had to tell myself this so many times. Overthinking, listen to what I'm saying. Overthinking does nothing. It just keeps you in a state of thinking. That's it. Because, let me just, guys, this outfit, it's kind of giving, if I say so myself. The sun is like all the way over here now, so you guys won't see my skin glow the way it normally does, but it's okay. Hi guys, wow, are you done? I hate when there's like just bits of fluff flying everywhere. It's ridiculous. No wonder why I keep sneezing like a lunatic. Hey guys, it's Eugenie. Welcome back to my channel, or however you're new. So by this title, you can see that we're going to be discussing overthinking and why it will not help you and it's a waste of time. And I know that it seems like in the moment it's beneficial, or it just feels, like it's just like an automatic thing that we do, but it really isn't a good thing. And it hinders you more than anything. Okay, so I know that a lot of us, we tend to overthink a lot of things in our life, decisions, because there are things where there are going to be big decisions that you're going to have to make in your life, and it's normal to overthink them and to really, think in depth about what's going to be the best decision for you to make. But I do think, though, there has to be a particular way that we do this without it becoming something that stunts us in our decision making. So I wrote down a few points here. The first point I want to get out of the way is we can't always foresee the future. There's going to be times where a decision just has to be made, and it's just one of those things. Just make the decision and that's it. And what's funny? I think that a lot of us, we overthink, but I want you guys to look back. I'm going to talk about some points later on in the video about some ways that you can stop overthinking, or like at least reduce the overthinking process. But one of the things that I realized is that there are so many decisions that we've already made in our lives that turned out to be the best decision. And it's funny because every time we start overthinking, we never think about those times where things worked out. We always just make up our own scenarios and we're like, oh, this is going to turn out terrible if I don't pick this decision. If I pick that one, I don't know how it's going to turn out. And then you start spiraling. But we never think, and we never stop and calm down and think to ourselves, hold on. I've been in this situation a little bit before, and I was worried about a decision before, and it turned out to be probably the best decision. That scared me. There's literally a cat just like, what? Girl. Girl. Anyway, we never stop and think, oh, I've been here before, and there's been decisions that I've made in the past that have actually worked out really well for me. I am one for this, because I've gone through this before. Like, I've gone through this very recently where I was afraid to do certain things, like traveling solo and doing all these things. And I used to, have moments where I maybe would overthink something. Then I had to calm myself down, and I was like, okay, but you've done this before. This is not new. Like, let's just calm down. Like, it's going to be fine. Stop thinking of scenarios that haven't even happened yet. Honestly, that's exactly what I told myself, to get myself to do things that were outside of my comfort zone that I weren't used to doing, and just making that decision. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. And in order for me to do it, I'm going to have to just make the choice. But I can't be moving with this mentality and going crazy and be like, oh my God, like my whole life is going to come crumbling down if I don't, everything has to be like prim and proper. Sometimes you can't get all your ducks in a row, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you get the ducks in a row as you start rowing, that's it. So just understand that we can't foresee the future, and instead of neutralize your thoughts, rather than your thoughts always being negative and thinking down the lines of, oh, this is going to turn out bad, and I'm worried to make this decision right now. Think about it like this: it could turn out good. Like, you have the option to also think that way as well, but like, as human beings, we kind of always think down the scary side first, like, oh, it's going to turn out really bad, like blah 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 blah. It's like, no. Take a step back and think, okay, try to write down a list of how could this go well, rather than thinking about how it could all go wrong, because then you kind of always are going to be looking for something. Your subconscious mind now is going to be looking for ways that it could all just go wrong all the time, that you're going to be nitpicking everything that doesn't feel like it fits the way you want it to fit. Our life isn't going to be full of perfection and how we want it to be, but as long as you get to that end result and you got there in a positive way and whatnot, then there's no need to worry, right? There's no need to worry. The next point I want to make is, which I think I've already mentioned this, but it was going to be my first point and then I decided to change my mind, but it is the fact that eventually you're going to have to make a choice anyway. This kind of, I feel like, puts me at ease, because rather than me overthinking, it's just like, okay, girl, does it really make sense to overthink right now? You're going to have to pick something. Get on with it. Like, you know what I mean? Get on with it. It doesn't have to be as well, like the most deepest scenario, like let's say what house I want or where I want to live in the future, or there's going to be things that really worry us. But one thing I've realized is that the things that we allow to worry us are really never that deep. And I know we say this all the time, like it's not that deep. I say it a lot, but the thing is, I've realized that a lot of things really aren't that deep. It's not. Like there's a lot of things as well where you can always just come back to it. If you feel like you didn't make a certain decision, you can always go back to something else when that time arises. You're not always going to be stuck in one position. One thing about life, and it's inevitable, is change anyway. Change is always going to be occurring for every single human being on this planet. The earth is always changing. Everything around us is always changing. So to sit and think that, this decision is going to be like this life-threatening, like, huge thing all the time is not the truth. We need to... Our brains are, honestly, I've been finding recently that our brains are very hilarious. Like, I feel like our minds are like jokesters at this point, because the way how we allow it to rule us as well and rule our whole entire life, when things were never that deep to begin with, it's just make the choice, like just make the choice and, have fun with it, guys. Have fun with life. Like life, when people used to say to me, like, life doesn't have to be that serious, they used to be like, yeah, it is, and this is serious. Then now I'm like, actually, it really isn't, and a lot of things can turn out great and better than you ever expected, but because you want it to be this certain perfect way, now, you don't want to make a step at all, and you want to just sit there and like be in your own head, when you could have just made the decision and then seen where it would have went. Have fun with it. Like, you don't know where it's going to take you. Have fun. Be like, oh, okay, this is going to be fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's life, guys. Like, you can't control every single thing in life. Okay, you can't. Guys, if you watched my last video, there was this situation with this tea that I made, and I'm really good at making tea. Like, I really am. But that tea that I made in the last video was not good. But now I have my favorite, because that was normal tea. Now I have my favorite lemon and ginger tea, and honestly, it's just like a warm hug inside. It just gives, you know what I mean? It just gives. By the way, if I seem a little bit discombobulated in this video, it is because I write down a list of videos that I have, and I keep adding to them when I think of something new, and then I kind of make what I'm going to say like on the spot. So it's like I know what I want to say, but then sometimes articulating it in a full video is kind of like, oh, and then it's like I need to like elaborate on some points a bit more so that people can kind of understand what I'm getting at. But anyway, the last point that I want to make, oh my gosh, the last point I'm going to make, the way how overthinking induces stress, girl. So there's gonna be another video before this where I was talking about affirmations, and one of the things for me is I affirm to myself that I love myself, I respect myself, I honor myself, all these things, right? And I feel like if I'm going to be doing something that is going to be inducing stress to me, I'm kind of going against all those beliefs that I have for myself, because it's like, if I really do care about myself, why am I going to be piling on stress that doesn't need to be there, right? Unless, I don't know why this is not really, maybe it's spoken about a lot, but it depends on the spaces that you're in, I don't know. But the way how stress is one of the #1 killers in the world, like even down to just killing your spirit. If you're stressed, you're not going to be able to be present in anything. You're not going to see the good in anything. You go out in nature, you're not going to be, admiring the nature around you, admiring the fresh air, admiring all the cute things you see every day. Like whether you see, a family outside and they're just having a beautiful time together. It could be different. It doesn't matter what it is. You're just no longer like being present in the world and like what's really nice around you, and it just makes you not enjoy as well all the other things that you may have been enjoying before. Like it doesn't make you don't enjoy your hobbies anymore. You don't really enjoy when you're hanging around with your friends, because you're just in this mindset of like stress because you're overthinking. And meanwhile, a decision could have been made ages ago, because like I said before, overthinking does absolutely nothing. I had to tell myself this so many times. Overthinking, listen to what I'm saying, overthinking does nothing. It just keeps you in a state of thinking. That's it. You haven't made any decision. You haven't progressed in any way, shape, or form. You've just sat there and you've just added on stress. You've added on this weight and this sad but you've just added on this vibe to you now that doesn't actually need to be there. Like that in itself will not help, because imagine, I always look at it like this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to overthink something. Then I'm going to get stressed out. Stressing will cause me to either eat more and maybe eat more unhealthy, or eat less and I'm still not being healthy, right? Then it comes to a point of I might end up getting sick or ill, just not feeling well. And then that's going to stress me out even more, because maybe then by the time I need to do what I need to do, I no longer feel well to do it. So it's just like stress is just your number one enemy, because it's just like now it's just causing you to overthink even more and cause problems that doesn't even need to be there. It's like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? So that is another thing to take into account, guys. Like, overthinking does absolutely nothing. If you need to say that, this is what I would advise you to do, because I'm going to go into some ways to that you guys can stop overthinking. And this is one of the first points I'm going to make right now, is what I do to help myself is I tell myself when I'm on the verge of overthinking or I'm already in the midst of it, I stop myself and I go, overthinking does absolutely nothing. Overthinking does absolutely nothing. Because you might want to argue with yourself and you're like, but then you really can't, because you're not wrong. Like, what can anybody tell me what overthinking will do? It's one thing thinking critically and thinking, for a short amount of time, like, okay, you make it, but when you start to, like I said before, it gets too much to the point where you're allowing it to stress you out, and you're stunted for so long on making a decision. That is when it gets to a point where it's like, okay, girl, you're not helping yourself. Now you're just being your own worst enemy. Like, before it was good because you was thinking, just looking through the fine lines of things, and that's fine. But now you're just being extra. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, you're just being extra. Like, I can only really relate to this the most, especially when it comes to recent events for me, which is solo traveling, because I've been doing it since last year, the beginning of last year, and I've already been doing some the beginning of this year. And I plan on doing way more for the rest of my life. And that's what I told myself when I first went on my trip to Glasgow, this was my first time going out of the city. It was my first time going out of the city alone as well. Okay, let me reword that. I've been out of the city on school trips, but it was my first time going out of the city alone, and also going that far is what I meant to say, because I caught a coach in Birmingham to Glasgow is literally like, girl, 8 hours. So it was like really far. I don't know, about 8 hours away. Like, that's too much. But and I remember I was like, you know what, overthinking does nothing. Why are you worried about, I don't know how to do this yet? Like, I'm telling you guys, I had thoughts like, I'm scared to go because I've never booked into a hotel before. I don't know how that goes. Okay, but it can't be that hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was really, like, I get it, because I used to overthink the most smallest details of things. I used to be like, I don't know how to operate in like a coach station. I don't know how it works. Blah, blah, blah. I had the same issue when I went to London recently, because I've never caught like the trains and all that by myself. And it just seems like it's like a very hectic place when you're not used to it. And I was just like, okay, can we stop overthinking? You'll figure it out. You'll be fine. And I did. And I didn't get lost once, not once. And girl, let me tell you, Glasgow, I was worried about going. But the funny thing is, when I was there and I was walking around the city and I was going to get because I went to go to a movie premiere. So I went to go to the, I don't know if you call it like the box office or something. You go and get your actual like physical ticket. And when I went there, because this was like earlier in the day before the event, and the way how I was walking around and I was going to get food, it was like I was there like I was born and raised. Like, and it was so funny because I realized in the moment, I was like, not me overthinking, and then I'm operating on such a normal energy right now. Like, it was incredible. I was like, wow. I love the fact that I overcame these like thoughts. And it goes into the next one. It made me trust myself more. Guys, in order to stop overthinking, you have to trust yourself and understand that no matter what decision you make, you made it with your full intention of, it going well and you putting your best in regardless. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Like I said, there are a lot of things that you can always go back and change your mind and go to something else. You're not always going to be stuck in the same position forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Something has to change in life. Like, it's not always going to stay the same. So when I made those decisions to finally overcome my fears and stop overthinking, it made me trust myself, and it made me have a stronger bond with my own self, which I think a lot of people are missing. Like, if you are always overthinking, you're always thinking that you can't really trust any decision that you're going to make, which doesn't sound good when you put it like that, because it's like, okay, girl, you've gotten yourself to so many other places, and now you're telling me that you can't trust yourself. Like, you can do something. I promise you can do what you're worried to do. You can do. Okay. And this goes back, I feel like all these points link in really well, because the last point, girlies, this is a really good one. I like this one. I'm going to drink before I say it, because some of you are ignoring your past self. Some of you need to thank your past selves, okay? Some of you are ignoring it like it doesn't exist. Like, that girl or that boy didn't bring you to where you are today, and you're still out here not trusting yourself to make decisions. Go. Look, Look back at all the times you've made decisions and how many times have gone well. Look back at all the times that you've made a decision, any decisions in your life that ended up being positive. And I know I kind of said this already, but honestly, this is a really key point because I think it will help you change your subconscious mind on how you're viewing everything. And like I said, it links in with trusting yourself more because, like I said, your past self was able to make decisions that at the time you felt worried, and then look where you are now. Was it really that bad? Was it really that deep? And even if you say it was deep, but you're not in that situation anymore, you know what I mean? Like a lot of you are no longer in those. If it didn't turn out the way you wanted to turn out, that's okay. Like I've said before, you're not always going to be there, so it's okay. Your past self was able to make decisions that now you can look back and be like, oh my god, like it actually isn't that scary. That was a big one for me when I went to London, and because I have a fear, like I have guys, the anxiety I have around like the underground and like trains and that. It's not the whole being underground, that doesn't scare me. I love that, but it's like the train part. I just don't like it. The trams, the trains, it's too much. But the way how I was just like, oh my god, like it's actually not that bad. It's really not that bad. And now I feel like the thing is, what you don't realize is by the time you get to that point of overcoming certain things and like fears or whatnot that you was overthinking and everything, like decisions that you were overthinking to make, you get to a point where everything becomes more simple in life. Everything becomes way more simple because now it's just like, okay, girl, I've had bigger decisions before that scared me and it was really nothing to be scared of. Like, you know what I mean? You're just like, okay, like I can do this. Like you kind of look at it and just like, okay, life, what do you have for me today? What? Because I'm not going to overthink this. I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to go through it. Simple. Because when I tell you guys that I was really back and forth, I was standing like outside for ages deciding if I should go and catch the trains or not. I know it sounds really funny, but you can laugh at this if you want to. I don't mind. But like, or you can tell me if you can relate because I know a lot of people probably have the same fear as well. But guys, the way how I was contemplating on if I wanted to catch Ubers or a train or trams, because I went to go and see ATs in London and I was like, you know what, I don't have the money to be catching Ubers. Like, I don't know why I'm even contemplating this. This is the thing. Goes back to the point of you have no choice but to make a decision, pick one and go with it. Because I had to meet up with these girls as well that I was meeting and I was like, girl, you're going to be late. Like either go or don't go. And I was just like, okay, fit. So I went and it turned out perfectly fine. And I was lost for a minute. I was like confused. I was like, oh my god. When I say lost, I don't mean I was actually lost. Like, I mean, like in my mind, I was like, oh my god, like what am I doing? But it turned out really good. And honestly, now, like when you've made decisions like that was crippling you or whatnot, it's gets to a point where the next time it just feels like a breeze. It's easy. It's easy peasy lemon squeeze. It's easy because now you're just like, okay, cool. Like been here, done that. Now when I go back to London, it won't feel as scary, This bird is distracting me. I'm so sorry. But yeah, now when I go back, I won't feel so worried anymore because I've done it and I know that there's nothing to overthink. Like it's okay. Also, breath work, guys. Sometimes breathing and just taking time away from something, because this always helps me as well. It helps me to come back to making the right decision that I actually want to make. So instead of me sitting there and stressing and going over the same thing over and over and over and over again, that just keeps me really stuck. And this goes with anything, whether it's work related, whether I don't know how to do something on the computer. Like a lot of the times when I've just took a break and I've took a step away from everything and I've come back maybe half an hour later, it's like instantly I know exactly what to do. This works like a charm. I'm telling you, try it and you'll see. And like, don't spend the time away overthinking it. Don't like do something else. Do a hobby, read, watch something. Just take time away and like change your whole entire like mindset on what you're doing in that moment, and it will work out. I promise you. It really will. But this is something that helps me. So just like taking time away to like meditate, breathe, like I said, distract yourself, go on a walk, doing all those things. It's like a zoo outside. Like it isn't, but it also is. Like what am I gonna see next? Like 10 squirrels. Like what is going on? Like anyway, yeah, breath work and just taking the time away from everything will definitely help you to stop overthinking, and it will give you more clarity and peace of mind when it comes to making a decision, because I think everything it ends up being more obvious as well, because a lot of the times we're overthinking something and maybe the answer is really clear, but then we're sitting there fiffing and faffing and blaffing and bliffing. I don't know, like we're just worried about everything. When in reality, the answer is quite simple, but human minds, we're a little bit psycho. I'm kidding. Anyways, I hope this video helped you guys, and let me know if you have any other tips that you can share in the comment section with anyone that struggles with this, and also help me. Like, what advice do you guys have that could help me? What did I miss? Because I know there's loads of other things that could help with overthinking. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, only if you want to. But if you do, clear skin. I always say, like, if you subscribe, I promise you, clear skin is on your way. Okay, like, oh, guys, I'm supposed to go on a walk. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. I look really cute today. Hold on. I can't. This is so funny to me. I love making poses in the camera because this is like, you know, like, I just feel really cute. Hold on. Wow, she's a charmer. These poses are so cute, but like, anyways, I'm gonna go, guys. Bye.